entertainmentbuddha.com.
Dun, da, 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 dun, da, da. Da, 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 wah, 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 da, 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 wah, 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 da, 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 wah, 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 wah. Welcome to a special edition of Star Wars Time. It is Matt and Nick, and why is it so special, my friends? Well, it's because we got a new trailer for Solo, a Star Wars story. And Nick, it wasn't just a new trailer, it's what I like to call, in the biz, a plot trailer, right? Because these days we kind of get teasers, and then the teasers eventually lead to this plot trailer, which takes one, step closer into the film's narrative. Doesn't really show you, anything I'd call spoilerific, but dives in deep enough to give you an idea, a much better idea, clear picture of what this movie's plot's all about, and that's what we got for Solo today. So first up, initial impressions, what'd you think?
I was happy. I was happy that we got it. I mean, on the last cast we were talking, you said that you had a feeling, and your feeling was dead on, that we were going to get a trailer before the middle of the month, and you nailed it. I mean, today or yesterday, we get the trailer, and now, I feel like we learned a lot more about this movie. There were definitely some cool shots, some really cool looking action scenes. Like you said, we get to learn a lot more about some of the characters.
Oh, I agree.
Stuff. Like,
yeah,
I was pretty excited. I mean, am I like 100% on board, like the Solo hype train? Not quite yet. I mean, there's still some things that we may talk about that's a little, that I'm a little worried about. But overall, I think it's at the very least going to be a cool looking action film.
Yeah, I think that's the key phrasing right there that Nick uses. Cool looking. I think it's very clear, at least from this latest trailer and the teasers, that this movie is going to have an awesome look to it, and I don't know how much of that is Ron Howard's vision taken over, or how much is from the Lord and Miller, whoever they were. But I mean, it looked great, and we got some brand new shots in this trailer that are just like, whoa! I can't wait to see that action sequence play out. And it looks like there's going to be plenty of action sequences, which makes sense for a young Han Solo movie. I guess from my standpoint, the very first time I watched it, I was like Nick, wow, that looked really cool, but I had reservations. I am starting to get concerned about one thing in particular in Solo, which we'll talk about here throughout this special episode of Star Wars Time. So what we're going to do, my friends, I actually did a video for entertainmentbuddha.com. It's up there on YouTube if you want to check it out after this podcast. But that's kind of what we're going to use as our reference. We're just going to kind of go through the important shots. There were some reused shots in this trailer, but a lot of them were new, and those are the ones we're going to be talking about. So let's just dive right in, right, Nick? Let's just get down to brass tacks and pick apart this new trailer.
Let's do it.
Okay, so it opens with a nighttime shot, and I believe this is Corellia, and I believe this is taking place early on in the movie, or at least definitely early on in Han's life. Who knows what time in the movie? I mean, I know we've teased like there could be flashbacks, or it could just start when Han is on Corellia still before he joins the Imperial Academy. But it starts here. You get this broad sweeping shot of Corellia. And then what I really liked is looking up, and I don't know if that's from Han's point of view, but you get to see them building some Star Destroyers, because isn't Corellia known as a shipbuilding planet?
Yeah, there's the, I believe there's a hyperspace, I guess it'd be called like a shipyard, that's kind of built around Corellia and stuff. So they have been known for their ship exports and everything. And I thought that was really cool too. I mean, we've never, in these last couple of movies, these last couple of spinoffs, Rogue One and then now with Solo, we get to see these Star Destroyers in like a different light almost, because I mean, the way that we saw them in Rogue One was almost the most detailed that we've ever seen in a Star Destroyer shot, and just very menacing. And now with this trailer, we get to see them being assembled Definitely pretty
Well,
cool.
this could, I mean, honestly, if I'm right, and this is taking place during Han's younger years when he is on Corellia, I mean, this could be right around the fall of the Republic, you know? So, I mean, this could be the transition from the Republic Star destroyer. Well, I don't think they call them destroyers, cruisers, whatever, back then, into the new look of the Empire. But you get to see how they kind of frame it out, and you can see the landing bay and the belly of it. Down below to the right, you have the command towers just kind of chilling there. So as the trailer progresses, you hear Han and Qi'ra talking, and basically you get to see Han, and again, I believe this is the youngest we're going to meet Han in the movie, but it looks like he's looking for some sort of job, and I believe that job's going to lead to that chase scene that we got heavily in the teasers.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, I want to see what period of time, like how long we're going to stick in like the young, quote unquote, young Han time period, because as we can remember in the first trailer, like there was a couple of scenes where we were assuming he was like almost like a teenager, or maybe like a younger, older teenager, maybe even younger 20s, and that's when he's talking to the Imperials within I guess it would be the landing port on Corellia, saying that he wants to be a pilot and everything like that. So how long are we going to stick into that period of time? And then how long will it be until we transition into his like smuggling, like his early days as a smuggler, looking for that job like you mentioned, and then getting in that chase with Qi'ra in the car. So
I bet all that's done within 15 minutes.
You think it's going to be like a hard jump away? Yeah, because I don't think they want to spend a lot of time on Imperial Han.
I think young Han, and that will be 10 to 15 minutes. Then he'll transition to Imperial Han. Then it will just jump to right where he's basically already bitching and kind of contentious. I think we're only going to see Imperial Han essentially getting thrown into lockup, because I do believe he is going to get locked up.
Yeah, because we see that. I mean, we keep seeing this one scene in multiple trailers where it looks like he's behind bars, but we can't tell. It almost looks like you're looking at him from the other side of a window, maybe, like with like a slatted window. But he does look beat up. He's not wearing his typical like Han Solo garb.
No, I know what you're talking about. I believe this is all still when he's young on Corellia, because he's wearing that white jacket that we see him in when he is in the chase scene with Qi'ra. So I think he's just going to like some shady place, like looking for the gig, essentially. Like if I steal this car or this land speeder.
So it's like a mafia thing where they like open a slat in the door.
I think exactly like one of those deals.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's at least what I was going for, but I do believe he is going to get locked up for something he does in the academy.
Yeah.
And there is a shot coming up later on this trailer that we're going to talk about, which I think is, again, the brief moment we will see of Han as an Imperial. Because I don't think they're going to spend time on that at all. I think it's going right into you're locked up. Here's Chewie. You guys are out, moving on. You're going to become smugglers. Yeah. Okay, so as Nick said, we get that shot of him looking at that mafia door. I like that. That kind of like the secret handshake, like, hey, what's the password? Slit. Yeah. And then it kind of, as Qi'ra's talking, she's asking him, like, what are you here for? Revenge, money, yada, yada, yada. And then it cuts to that scene we saw in the teasers, which now we know this is Enfys Nest. And by the way, spoiler alert. I'll give you a few seconds. Spoiler. It is confirmed that Enfys Nest is a female. So she's some sort of badass that obviously does not like Han for one reason or another. And I believe this is gonna take place down in the film, and this is really this scene in particular throws the timeline off big time, because we now know for a fact, due to this trailer, that this scene takes place as Han is already familiar and in the Millennium Falcon. So he's clearly already met Lando. So I don't know when this time frame is, but whatever, we'll get there. So
yeah, I feel like these first few scenes in the beginning of the trailer before the Lucasfilm splash, it's really like just cutting around. You're jumping around to a lot of different spots and not necessarily in order. So yeah.
But Enfys Nest, I'm not gonna lie, I think the costume is fantastic.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, it is both Star Wars and Mad Max.
Yeah. I mean, that was what we were, one of the most
perfect.
impressive things that we were talking about from the teaser trailers before, and I mean, it remains pretty awesome. I'm glad that they went with.
Said there's a part of me, and I know I'm wrong, but I'm just throwing it out there just in case. But I think it's Qi'ra.
You think that this is like way way later, and they had already split up, and now Qi'ra's like.
Well, we know for a fact that they were buddies when they were younger, and who knows if they are lovers, but she definitely bobs in and out because she's I guess more affluent, has better reach, more connections, if you will. I don't know. I just even though we know they're getting together to do this big heist for Beckett, I feel like there could be some sort of double dipper here.
Yeah, I mean it could definitely.
But I think I'm totally wrong because we also know that she's actually in this same scene, so it's already wrong. But like I said, I wanted to throw it out there just for fun. But anyways, I hope they make an action figure of her because she's
I'm sure
fantastic.
she will. Or Disney will.
That's got to be a Black Series. Like I'm not talking a little chintzy 3 3/4. I need a 6" right there. All right, so from there we then move into what do we got? Just again, this is what I'm talking about. The next shot is a shot of Han. It's a new one, but this has to take place right after that scene we saw in the teaser with Qi'ra talking to him.
So this is the one where he's outside the Falcon?
No, he's on the beach right now about to confront Enfys.
Oh, yeah.
Same place as we just saw.
He unclips his
But
belt.
in the teasers, we saw him there with Qi'ra.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that I don't think, even though I think, but I don't think she could be Enfys Nest.
Yeah. So, we see him unbuckle the gun, and he does. He looks like at the moment he's standing there by himself, so I don't know if Qi'ra is, like, lagging behind or if she's, like, doing some sort of recon elsewhere and then meets up with him once it's pretty clear that,
Or she disappears and puts on her Enfys Nest costume.
Very possible, yeah. She's got, like, a cloaking device. She, like, goes stealth for a bit, comes back as Enfys Nest.
Right.
But maybe that's just
All
like
right.
Han's ex, and like she went fucking crazy.
Who knows?
And now she's got this whole band.
I'm interested. I mean, this character is kind of like a Maul to me. Like I'm totally intrigued.
Yeah.
By the villain here. I mean, it's the same way the first time I saw Kylo. I was like, wow. That's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a really good job of like designing their villains since Disney's taken over. Even in Rogue One, where your villain is just another Imperial bad guy, but like they make him
yeah, exactly. But they also had those Death Troopers and the Shore Troopers. I mean, I'll tell you what. In this film is included, but the standalones, which I mean, there's 2, so I don't know why I'm making it so grandiose sounding, but they are killing it with trooper designs.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing it.
Yeah, Shore Trooper looked really fucking cool. For Scarif.
Death Trooper was badass. I mean, now the Min Bomb Trooper we're gonna see is badass. The Range Trooper could be one of the most badass. I mean, they're wearing those pimp ass white fur coats, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, dude. They've done a really good job because I mean, it would be easy for Disney to just say, well, like all Imperials look the same, but like. Even with Krennic, like they gave him the white suit, they're changing up the way that these troopers look and everything. So they've done a fantastic job of like keeping.
Yeah, and I've said this 1,000 times. I mean, I love and have always loved the aesthetic of the Empire. I mean, I love it. I always was a good guy. I was a fan of the good guys when I was little. I'm not pure evil these days, but I love the look of the Empire, and it's only getting better. Only getting better.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think this movie introduces 3 troopers. I know there's another one, the one that was chasing Han on Corellia, but I forget what those ones are called.
Yeah, it's not the.
They're like Arc or something. I mean, it's not Range because I know Range are those badasses in the
snow,
white, and then we know there's the Min Mon.
Wasn't there like a tease about a Mud Trooper?
Yeah, that's the Min Mon Mud Trooper.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So.
All right, so anyways, continuing on with the trailer breakdown here, we're at the minute 58 mark in terms of the video breakdown. But we get a shot of Lando in the, we're just going to call it like a cantina-esque type of establishment, looking like he's running a sabak table, and lo and behold, Han's rolling in, and he kind of looks at him like, hey, can I get in? And I guess the question I kind of pose in the analysis video is, is this the actual game for the Falcon, or is this Han trying to get Lando to join up in with Beckett's scheme?
I mean, it's so hard to tell because I'm sitting, I try to, look at Alden, see what's physically changed on him. It looks like he's got a scar above his eye now on the right side. Looks pretty beat up. So if I'm going based off of that, maybe it is, the final... this is the last time that they get together when he wins the Falcon, because even when Donald Glover as Lando says everything you've heard about me is true, it's clear that Han already knows who he is, so it's not like their first time meeting, and then Lando's putting on a show for all these people around.
Well, here's I guess, I'm not saying you're not saying you're right or wrong, but here's my counterpoint. In this trailer, Qi'ra basically says, and I'm assuming this is to Beckett and company, because it's established clearly in this trailer that Beckett is putting together this super crew to pull off this job for Homeboy.
For Dryden.
Dryden Voss, who is essentially a Jabba the Hutt level gangster, if not even bigger than him. Yeah. And she basically says, I know of this smuggler, and he's got a really fast ship. So that's how I kind of interpret it, as this is them, because we eventually see, and I believe it's the same location, we see Han, Chewie, and Qi'ra as they're searching out Lando, just kind of like how Luke and Ben happened to stumble upon, but also they were searching for someone to fly them somewhere, and it looks like they're hunting down Lando to fly them on this mission.
I guess the way that I was looking at it is, I look at the scene where Lando's walking around, or Han, for that matter, is walking around the Falcon for the first time. He just looks a lot younger, a lot different when he's doing his walk around the Falcon. And in this scene with Lando, he looks a little bit more beat up, and he looks, I don't want to say he looks older, but it looks like he's weathered, and he's out of it a little bit. So I could be wrong. I mean, you could definitely be right that in this situation, it could be the first meeting, but I almost feel like just the way he looks at him, the way that Han looks as a person, I feel like he's probably older, and I feel like it might be towards the end.
I guess we'll see how it shakes out. I'm going with this is their first meeting. Nick's going with this could be the fateful fight or game for the Falcon.
Yeah.
All right, so after that, this is all while Qi'ra's doing her narration, and it finally wraps where we see them together again. And I do believe this is later on in their lives, and this is probably the first time they've seen each other in a long time. And from what we know about Qi'ra, like I said, she's always been better off than Han. She's I guess been better at getting her way, getting what she wants, and progressing herself in this world. But it looks like they're running into each other again, and I don't know if it's Beckett's doing or if this is part of tracking her down, even though it looks like that she goes with Han to Beckett's meeting where Beckett asks him to join. I don't know. If anything in these trailers, especially this one, even though it has kind of shown us more plot, it's definitely managed to really jumble up timelines, and it's almost impossible to stitch together the chronological order of this movie.
I also feel like we have kind of a hesitation to be too sure on timelines now, just because of everything with The Last Jedi. When we're watching those trailers, we're like, oh yeah, this happens here, this is the fucking battle on Crate's gonna be early. Now we're like, I don't know.
Yeah, we are 100% wrong. It was the 100% wrong cast, and this will be too.
Yeah.
So,
So, but yeah, it definitely does look like a fancy party. And if we skip ahead a few seconds in the trailer, it almost does match like the interior aesthetic of the same place that Dryden Voss is in when we first get a look at him.
Oh yeah, totally. This is totally it. So, like I said, I don't know if Han knows she's gonna be there because Beckett told him to go get her.
Yeah.
Or what? But who knows? But okay, so as the breakdown goes on, we get another shot of this, and Nick, would be around like 2:46, 47. And it just shows Alden next to Emilia Clarke. And what I bring up, and I hate to do this because I'm a short man myself, but how tall is Harrison Ford?
Let's Google it because
let's get this straight because I'm pretty sure he's at least 6 foot.
Harrison Ford's 6'1".
Yeah. Okay.
And then Alden. Let's see how tall Alden is. I mean, if you're, he's probably.
Well, no, dude. Check how tall Emilia is.
Alden's 5'9".
Yeah, maybe.
So, and then Emilia, she's probably got on heels in this thing too. Emilia's 5'2".
Right. Yeah, but dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm a short dude, and I just know what it looks like, and he just looks short.
I mean, he's a little short for a stormtrooper for sure. I mean,
yeah, he's a little short for a Han Solo.
So it's so weird looking at it because I mean, like, he's not even a full head taller than her. I mean,
nah, dude. Nah.
It's definitely not Harrison Ford height because I mean, we've seen.
Nah, it's like Tom Cruise shit, man.
I mean, we've fucking seen so many times Harrison and Carrie standing next to each other as Han and Leia, so we're used to that kind of thing. So unless Han Solo,
yeah, that's a good call, and I think Carrie Fisher's probably even taller than Emilia.
Yeah, I mean,
because Emilia's a little girl, and you know, I mean, she's tiny.
Carrie Fisher was, of course, they don't list her height right up front because she's not alive anymore. It doesn't say immediately. I'm
getting it done on the Google machine here tonight.
Yeah,
folks.
we're trying to get it for you guys.
We're validating our facts
here. Yeah,
here.
this is the first time that we're going to be doing. She was 5'1", so she was a little bit shorter than
right.
Amelia.
I mean, an inch.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
But again, I mean, I remember Harrison having to like bend over.
Yeah, and then
just to reach like head
and
level.
then Mark's 5'9", so really looking at, you know, Alden and Emilia standing next to each other as Han and Qi'ra, you would assume that this would be more akin to like Luke standing next to Leia, but he's definitely a short person, and not exactly something that would be associated with Harrison as Han.
Which, I mean, probably isn't going to be that big of a deal, but just that shot is like questionable.
Yeah, give him some platform shoes, some shit.
And from what we've heard, this is probably a Lord and Miller shot because remember, you know, they like to do full setups essentially where they'd shoot the entire width of the set.
Yeah, and they were in the previous article we were talking about last week, they were saying how Ron Howard likes to do things tight up close, and this probably does look like a Lord and Miller shot since you're getting them from a distance. You're also getting some set from the party and everything like that. So yeah, good call on that for sure.
So here's what I said, and this is probably again another Lord Miller shot, and this is actually a beautiful shot. But it's this beach scene, which I'm calling the beach scene because we saw it in the teasers, and the way it goes down the teasers, it looks like this is where Han is meeting Beckett. Possibly for the first time, essentially saying, "Hey, I want to get in. This is what I want to do. I want to smuggle. I need a job." But now we clearly see that, you know, Han and Chewie are already together, and Chewie's already in a life of servitude.
Yeah, lugging his bags around,
carrying his bags, and it's Qi'ra. So, like I was saying earlier, in terms of timeline, is this before those shots we just saw at Dryden Voss's place? Is it after? I mean, is it immediately after? I mean, is this where he got her, and then now they're going to meet Beckett to talk about the job? I don't know.
I feel like this is before because like when he's meeting Beckett, and as he says in the trailer, like, I'm putting a crew together, I'm putting together a team for this job. So like I feel like the desert scene is before that. But I mean, you bring up a good point to where, you know, Qi'ra is there already, and so is Chewie. So I mean, it's so hard to like suss out where this is gonna be, because, and I mean, we know that Han and Qi'ra were friends before, so it's not like it would be odd for him to be around her at a party or something like that if they weren't already a part of this team. It just does feel a little weird that, you know, they're at a location like that, like you said, with Dryden Voss there prior to having already been established.
I mean, the next shots here and the analysis just prove that this is the same location, because we get our first shot of Dryden, who is now played by Paul Bettany. I believe another gentleman was playing him prior, but due to scheduling conflicts and the reshoots, they had to bring in Bettany, which is fine. I mean, we all know Bettany from his recent work in the MCU as Vision, and he's done a lot of other great stuff. But so like I said, I mean, and I'm not hating on it. I mean, that's what trailers should do. They should jump things around. We shouldn't be able to stitch the story all together. That would suck. I mean, BVS was prime example. That literally did tell the entire movie from start to finish in chronological order.
Yeah.
There's really nothing you had to guess. I mean, that hit all the major beats. That was the film. And that's definitely not what this trailer did. So, it was good, man. Like we said, visually, we're digging it. It's just, and I don't know if we've just come out and set it out right. We've taken a few swipes, but I think the biggest thing for me is just, I don't know if I can really buy into Alden as Han. And Nick made a great point. Like, he just always looks way too happy, like grinny happy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody who's listening to this has seen the OT multiple times through, hundreds, thousands, who knows. And you can always tell, like, you're around Han a lot in the films, and he's not like a constant smiler, because when he does smile, it's like a scene stealer. Like, when he smiles, you know something happened to make him smile, and it takes over the scene. Like,
he's a grump. Yeah, I mean, he's just a curmudgeon. He's an angry dude by the time we meet him in New Hope, and that's what I kind of brought up to Nick, and I do think his point is great, but I just was playing, devil's advocate, and I'm like, well, this is technically young Han, and maybe he hasn't gone through some of these life events yet that are going to make him this cynical asshole by the time we meet him in A New Hope, which I think that's what this movie is all about.
I think so. And this is like something that I said to Matt before we started recording, is like, once this film is in the books and it's, already had its theatrical run, if Alden was ever to go to a con or like a Star Wars celebration, to like talk about his role as Han Solo, I think that they would have to introduce him as young Han Solo. Like, they can't just say, here's Han Solo himself, Alden Ehrenreich. Like,
it sounds petty, but I think he's got a great point.
I mean, but there's a difference, and that's something that we're pointing out with the smiling and just his general demeanor, is that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of two things, and I think Nick was kind of hinting at the one, and I am too. I mean, it's either just Alden just did not get this dude whatsoever, which we've heard. I mean, it's all but been confirmed. I mean, it is still all rumor-based that this guy struggled to channel Ford's version of Solo. And as Nick pointed out, I mean, he does seem just overly jazzed up and almost like he has hope. Like, to me, Han Solo in Episode 4 had no hope, right?
Yeah, he was like...
He was on the run. He was in fear of being caught. All he wanted to do was pay Jabba. He didn't care about anything. All he wanted to do was get that monkey off his back and probably get on to the next job.
Yeah, and now we see him with, like, this youthful exuberance where he's excited.
Yeah, it's like he's almost like Luke's fucking Skywalker, right? I mean, he almost has Luke's dreams and passions, and he almost has a drive and hope.
Yeah, it's like he's out from under the Imperial thumb, and now he's diving into this world of smuggling that he's seems very fit for, and he's excited. He's like a kid. He's like, yeah, Luke with, I want to be a Jedi and like my father, and all this different stuff, and
but he's like, I want to be a smuggler and kill people like Beckett.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's a completely different version of Han, and like it almost seems like with this movie, if you took away the name of Han Solo and just named him something else, then you could still have this film and it could still be a Star Wars related movie, just call it something else. I mean,
the only sticking point, the more I think about that, and I know earlier I agreed with you, but
Chewie.
It would be Chewie, yeah. I mean, that's unless you call him, like, what was his dad? Tarfik. Or was that
because Tarfik was the guy who was there when Yoda took off from Kashyyyk at the end of episode 3, and then Chewie was there too.
Right, but I mean, you could just basically delete them and just focus on Beckett and Qi'ra and Lando. And all them.
Yeah.
I mean, how you could call just young Lando
you could.
or Lando a Star Wars story.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing to me, because I mean, we're talking about.
Well, think about it. I mean, this is an interesting concept. I mean, think about if it was presented from the aspect of Lando versus the way we're going to get it.
I mean,
what if we learn more about Han through a Lando story?
I think that would be fantastic to do it that way.
Right? Like, that would have been, I think, in general, and I think Hamill just came out and said this recently, like, he's excited for it. Now, I think Nick and I, too. And don't get us wrong, I don't think we're hating on the fact that there is this different version of Han. I think what our biggest fear is this different version of Han going to feel off because of the performance? That's at least how I feel. I mean, I could buy into a more jovial, a more hopeful Han. It makes sense. Again, like maybe he hasn't been through some tragedy yet. Like I think he's been through a lot, actually. But I'm talking about like some deep stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like
which is probably going to come in the form of Qi'ra and probably Beckett.
Yeah.
I'm
this
assuming.
Kid's never had a price on his head and been chased around the galaxy. He's never
right. Like he's done some nickel and dime shit and probably spent some time in jail and maybe he had some thugs after him, but not one of the biggest gangsters in the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. So. I think you're right. I think I'm definitely more worried about the performance because I mean that's been the tune to this movie since it's been in production is that this kid doesn't really have the chops. So yeah, I'm definitely more worried about that than it being not the Han Solo from episode 4, which I think is just an unrealistic expectation. Like we can't expect Han as a 21-year-old to be the same as Han as a 31-year-old, especially like you said, because of everything he's gone through. It's just, is this kid going to be good enough to have flashes of that Han, to have flashes of the 31-year-old Han? Because regardless of whether he's gone through, heartache and fucking galaxies time worth of shit to become 31-year-old Han, he's still going to have those moments where they're the same person. So,
yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I do think they tried to show some of those moments in this trailer, and I think some of them sort of work. Others, I was just kind of like, yeah, that's definitely not him. Like the joke with Chewie's age. I mean, some of it feels authentic. Other parts of it feels like,
yeah.
But anyways, kind of getting back to the trailer, we get our first shot, like I said, of Dryden as Bettany, and this guy again, like we said, he's probably Jabba the Hutt level gangster, if not bigger, and he's the one that is going to commission Beckett to put together this ragtag group of super criminal or smugglers to pull off some sort of heist, probably against the Empire.
So what do you think about Dryden's face? I mean, I feel like that's like a big reveal that we got from this trailer. Is that
who knows, dude? Like, obviously, it looks like Wolverine got a hold of him.
Do you think it's like he just got like ripped up by a Wampa, or you think this could have been at the hands of the Empire, and that's why he's like he may be putting out a job on him or something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is Star Wars again. It could just be, hey, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
These types of people are commonplace in this galaxy, or it could be like you're saying, where it could kind of drive his character. So yeah, I mean, it could be something that the Empire did to him, maybe during, it could be the Separatists, could be the beginnings of the Empire, it could be the Republic, who knows? But some could have abused him, or he could have been in war when he was young. or it could just be his gangster upbringing.
Yeah, we've already
those are just the prices he paid to get to where he's at.
I think it's already been confirmed that he's not in any way related to Quinlan Vos, the Jedi from.
Yeah, right. That's just a coincidence. That is.
So, I'd like to see if this is like a character driving plot or plot device or something like that with his facial scars and stuff. So, but it was definitely like a cool touch that they added to the character. I mean, Paul Bettany is enough. He doesn't need any kind of tools to increase his character, bring out his acting performance at all, but it is kind of cool that they gave him this and maybe like a motivation behind the way Dryden acts and stuff. So I thought it was a pretty cool little touch.
Right. So then we move into this shot I kind of teased earlier. It's just of Han talking to clearly some sort of Imperial officer. But this is like, I think we're going to see him real briefly as an Imperial, kind of maybe getting in this argument that's eventually going to lead him to be locked up. Or maybe this is him actually being taken to be locked up, and he's like, listen, no, I'm meant to either drive or pilot. I mean, maybe they made him try to do something else. Maybe it's, hey, go exterminate these Wookiees. But I think this is just going to be really short-lived. Here's Han as Imperial. This is how he runs into Chewie and saves him.
Dude, you know what would be funny? Is if he worked in sanitation, and then that would call back to the line in Episode 7 where fucking Finn does.
Right, yeah, that would be good. Good thought. Yeah, he's bitching over like, no, I don't want to clean toilets.
It's like sanitation. I'm a pilot, motherfucker. Put me in a plane. Put me in a cruiser. Come on. But yeah. So how do you think? Think? Now you said early that the Imperial stuff might be done within the first 15 minutes, but do you think that that the Imperial stuff might come in flashbacks, like parted throughout the movie?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's fair game, but I could also see it being, again, first 10 minutes or so, 12 minutes, Corellia Han. We know he joins the Empire. We get a wipe. Okay, here's Imperial Han for 5-10 minutes. Okay, here he's on his way saving Chewie. Okay, within 30 minutes they're on their way to be smugglers.
Yeah. I feel like,
or to do something.
Yeah, I think it could definitely work both ways. I'd like to see if the fact of him going through this smuggling experience, if they do play it out in like flashbacks that may be relevant to what's happening at the time or anything like that. So, yeah, I want to see how they handle the whole Imperial section of this film, because I think it's not going to be as important as the development that he goes through his time as a,
Yeah, I think it's only in there to get him with Chewie, and somehow Chewie's in dire straits, and he helps him. I mean, I think they're really trying to stick to that expanded universe story of how they become buddies.
Yeah, for sure.
Which we want. So now we get another shot, and I learned recently, I don't know if you looked it up, but the snow planet we've seen in these trailers is called Vandor.
Okay.
So the trick here is, and he's around this campfire, and we know for a fact that at least Val is there, and Beckett's there, and Chewie, I believe. My question to you is, do you think, is this what I kind of called it in my analysis here? I call it kind of Han's buy-in heist.
Like his test run.
His test heist. Like, can Beckett trust these two to go on a heist? And we know Beckett gets mixed up in it. We know Val gets mixed up in it. We've seen shots in this trailer and other trailers of them fighting out in Vandor on the train. So, I mean, or do you think Vandor is the big hit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how much time we take to go through one, because I know in the previous cast we talked about there probably being two heists, like this one in the snow and then one later in the film. So it does seem like if it was going to go down like that, it does seem like Vandor would be the first one, because we're still looking at him like clearly he's still new with Beckett. We see a scene of him, Beckett looking at the iconic Han Solo pistol, kind of giving it a kiss or a lick,
he's like kind
or
of
whatever, and
making out with it. He's like, la, 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 la,
and then tosses it back to him. So, so we don't know. I don't think it might not be where Han gets the gun from initially, because if you look at the way he's sitting, he clearly is wearing the leg holster that he usually does. So it was already there. Maybe, like I think, like you said, pre-cast, Matt, that like maybe Beckett just wanted to see what he was packing, and then he was like, okay,
Right.
it seemed like a decent weapon, and then kind of gives it back to him. But I think you're right, because again, like I'm trying to look at Alden and like make out like, is this later in the movie? Is this earlier? And I feel like this one he does look younger. He still doesn't look as beat up. So I think you're right. I think this one could be like his intro to smuggling heist or something like that.
Yeah, and I fast forward a bit, Nick. I'm at like 5:15ish, and it's a shot of Chewie and Han. It was a cool looking shot, and again, this is Vandor, and I do really think this is their buy-in heist. But they're walking up to probably the place that they're going to rob and start off the whole train sequence that we've seen.
Yeah, so let me get there. 5:15.
5:15.
Yeah,
5:28.
the giant like mammoth head or whatever that they're walking up the stairs to.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, we get this outside scene, and then it looks like they're walking into some sort of like
I assume that's the place they're going to loot.
Yeah.
I mean, that whatever that is, I think that's the target.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you walk in, it's definitely like dimly lit. There's a bar that you see in there. Maybe it's some sort of like hotel establishment. Maybe it might even be like a hit. They might be going to hit somebody who's staying at this hotel. Who knows? But yeah, I mean that.
Yeah, I think that, well, we know for a fact the Empire's involved because we got a great shot of it in this new trailer of the train sequence of the range troopers, which we'll talk about when it comes up. But so the Empire, not surprisingly, has some sort of hand in whatever this operation is on Vandor.
Yeah, exactly. So this probably goes, it helps to qualify that statement that Han said back in episode 4. I got no love for the Empire. Of course, he was kicked out of the Imperial Academy and the Imperial military, but then also, he has no qualms about pulling jobs on them, even when he first gets into his smuggling career. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. I love that shot, though. I mean, aesthetically, I think, I want to go back to this a couple of times just to say that, this movie looks very good. Visually, the way that it's shot, even on the, the beach scenes and everything like that, all of the visual aesthetics of this movie look great. But it's, like you said, it's going to come down to, acting chops of the main character and to see if he can put up a believable performance as Han Solo. So,
so the next series of shots, Nick, I'm just going to kind of string them all together for the sake of time, but I believe this is an actual extended look at a sequence here, because just the tone of the shots, the look of the environment is very similar throughout all these shots, and it's essentially Chewie, Han, and Qi'ra, and like I said, I think they're looking for Lando to hire him or to get him to buy into this big heist for Dryden Voss, commissioned through Beckett, and we just get to see the pimpness of Lando. Basically, this is what Nick said earlier, whatever you heard about me, it's all true. Just being a pimp like that to Han. But we get our first shot, or not our first shot, but we get to hear for the first time Leet, or L3 in this sequence, right, Nick? We get to see her, basically, she essentially has the temperament of a Wookiee, is what we're learning here. Because at the 6:23 mark, she's got some dude's face essentially palmed, and she's smashing his head into a wall until Lando comes up and says, "Yo, chill, L3.
Put down the mean man's
let the guy's face go." Yeah.
Yeah, she does. She does not fuck around, and I guess it, that could play into this whole her being an autonomous droid thing.
Well, yeah, that's what we heard. She's not, as I said in my video, she's no protocol droid. I mean, she's not C-3PO. She's not looking for commands. She's essentially self-aware. I think they're all kind of self-aware in Star Wars world, but they still can be wiped and whatnot, where she's had actual control over her form.
And her functions.
And her growth and her everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, people in the Star Wars universe are probably used to treating droids with a level of disrespect just inherently, because they are, generally meant for, protocols.
Yeah, they're
slave
slaves.
droids,
I mean,
stuff like
they're glorified.
Yeah, and then you have L3 come along, and she's autonomous, and it's her own master. So when somebody tries to talk to her that way, she's like, "No, motherfucker! Like, I am not the typical droid that you're used to messing with." So she throws her weight around to say, like, look, you're gonna treat me with respect, unlike you've ever treated a droid before. So prepare yourself.
Yeah, and then we get another great shot of Lando's Falcon. So you get the blue accents and obviously the fully formed front. And dude, I'm starting to think that front is either some sort of secondary ship, kind of like how the Ghost in Star Wars Rebels, you could jam the Phantom onto it, or that's the motherfucking cargo hold that he jettisons when the Empire eventually boards him, and that's why we see the forks throughout the rest of the Falcon's tenure in the Star Wars franchise.
That actually makes a lot of sense, the cargo hold piece, because
right.
I mean, it being removable, like easily removable.
Yeah, like they just blast it before they bail or whatever.
Yeah, I think you might have hit the nail on the head right there. I do like the idea of it being like a pseudo escape pod as well, because we've never heard Han refer to an escape pod within the Falcon before, so maybe they use it as
well. We just saw it in The Last Jedi. I mean, that was the first time we saw it, and it was pretty ghetto.
I mean, you
like essentially got into a pill. Yeah, you got into a pill and shot yourself out.
So, but I do think that more than likely, if it's, it could be that cargo hold. It doesn't even look like, I mean, you can see where it would kind of fit in. Like if you look closely at it, there's like maybe a dividing line here and there, and then where it would pop out. But I mean, the blue accents, I mean, it looks almost nothing like the fucking Falcon that we're used to seeing.
It looks good.
That we saw in episode
looks
4.
good. It doesn't look like a hunk of junk.
Not at all.
Obviously, I think this is all still right where they meet Lando on this whatever casino. I don't want to say casino planet because we just had one with Cano Bite, but whatever the seedy part of whatever planet they're on. Han's just kind of going through, looking at it, obviously drooling. Beckett, I think we got a great line. He's essentially telling Han, like, listen, man, you're asking me to get into this world, and I just want to let you know, once you're in it, you can never get out.
This is a lifetime type of deal here.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. You're always going to be kind of on the run, living on the edge, and obviously we know that for a fact.
Yeah, and especially because he's probably also referring to, like, the gravity of the job that they're going to pull, Like you said earlier, he might have done some nickel-dime stuff, some carjackings, maybe some
that's a good
some
point,
purse snatching or some shit like that. But, I mean, when you pull off a job the level that they're planning to do for Dryden, like, that is going to be on your head forever. So it's not just the fact that he's doing this, it's the fact that he's doing this at the level that he's doing it. So good thing to bring up.
So kind of skipping along, because really the next couple shots are just like, oh, hey, you're on the Falcon, and Lando's like, take a seat, you don't, trust me, this thing's fast, yada, yada, yada. And then we make our way back to Vandor, and we get this awesome shot of the range troopers. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, just their helmets kind of channel the tank commanders from Rogue One. There's a little shore trooper action in the helmet as well. But then obviously they got that snowy white of the Empire snow troopers.
Yeah,
but they got those those big ass boots. I mean, they're awesome.
They are. I mean, they're some of the coolest looking troopers. They have the red light accents to everything. I know me and you are both looking forward to whenever they fucking put these in Galaxy of Heroes, because I'm sure with the release of Solo, we're going to get that.
They'll be pay to play. Let's be real. I mean, most new characters these days, if they're not part of one of the events, like a Rey or a Commander Luke event, that they're pay to play 100%.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how they're implemented in that game. But then, I think we talked about it.
I hope we get to see him more than just this.
Yeah.
But even if this is it, I think this looks like an epic action
sequence.
I
mean, the train is not only a moving forward, it also spins around the track. I mean,
right, and they have like magnetic boots on, so this is going to be pretty wild. Yeah, it's going to be pretty
awesome. So, I mean, I don't remember if we talked about this on cast or if we were off cast when we were talking about it, but Disney and Lucasfilm they've done such a good job with Imperial Trooper design in these two spinoffs. I mean, I think you did mention it, but like just again.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we were talking about it. I mean, they're killing it.
Again, like they've just done such a fantastic job. Death Troopers and all the Imperial characters that were in Rogue, and then now with these guys, and then the Mimban Troopers and stuff. Like they've just been on point with design. So kudos to Disney for making this shit.
If anything, we know Solo's gonna have some kick-ass looking troopers. All right, so next two shots, it looks like we're going to, and this is, I'm just throwing it out there. I think this could be the planet where the big heist is taking place. It's kind of got that yellowish atmosphere as they're coming in. And as they land, I don't know if this is taking place right as they land. It could be completely off. But my speculation is it looks like they're either, this is at the end of the heist or right as they're going into it, but it looks like they're getting ambushed. Because we get to see Lando outside the Falcon. And he's looking at him like, "Yo, motherfucker, you just shot my Falcon."
Yeah, like somebody.
Because he pulls out a blaster right after that. I mean, I obviously don't screenshot every millisecond, but this is a shot I got of this scene, and we come back to it towards the end of the trailer where we see Qi'ra is also fighting this and Leet.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking because all these characters are together, the ones we know that are being pulled together for the heist, I'm thinking this could be at the end of it. Like this is just their escape, or like I said, they show up and they're ambushed.
Just like somebody tipped them off. Somebody tipped off their mark about them coming, and then they get hit as soon as they land. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so after this, dude, and this is just my pure speculation. I'm calling this the Battle of Mimban.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like a walker's getting dropped, or a version of a walker, and I honestly think this entire sequence that plays out, and I believe this is an automated version of a walker, because you can see one kind of in the distance if you're looking at 932 on my analysis video.
Yeah, it almost...
it looks like it's just like a blockhead, like the legs are a little stumpier too, but it's the exact same form factor as a chicken walker, an NST.
Yeah, it almost, to me, what I thought of the first time I saw this was... the walkers, like the smaller version of the ATST that was used by the Galactic Republic troopers on Kashyyyk. You remember they had those where they were just walking around the beach?
Right, yeah. They use them extensively in the Clone Wars cartoon as well. I know exactly what you're talking about. They're one-man chicken walkers, but those are, I believe, still even way smaller than these bad boys. Like, if you look at that dude's head, just to give you kind of scale perspective, I think these aren't a full size of an AT-ST, but are, maybe 3/4 or at least half the size.
Yeah, they're definitely much smaller than an ST for sure.
But anyways, hear me out on my speculation here. I'm going to see what you think. But I believe, and we're going to get a few shots coming up here in the analysis, I think this is where Han and Chewie are locked up, and this is the actual breakout event.
Okay, so this is going. You think that this is going to them being captured on?
Well, no,
this is going back to their Imperial days.
Yeah, this is where they're incarcerated. Han's thrown in for doing whatever against the Empire, and Chewie's locked up for being Chewie. And I think this is like the breakout or some shit that goes down that allows them to go. I don't know if they cause it or not, but I think they're definitely going to use it to their advantage. So it starts there, and then it goes to this shot of Val, which I put in just because it's awesome. And I believe this is at Vandor, just based on the location. So again, timelines, I have no idea what's going on here. Yeah, it's all over. We also get a line from Beckett here, and it looks like he's on the Falcon, so we know at least lives that long, where he tells Han and this is, I think, a very key piece of wisdom for who Han is in A New Hope, where he says, listen, man, if you go through life essentially always figuring that everyone you know, even the closest to you, will betray you, you'll be better off for it.
Yeah, it's just always have one eye kind of looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, never trust anyone. I mean, that's essentially the advice we get, and that's what we see in the Han in A New Hope. So I thought that was a good line, and it says a lot about the character and the advice that he got from his role
and
model.
I'd like to see how Chewie reacts to that, because Chewie almost seems to be like the antithesis of that statement,
Yeah, well, yeah, Chewie is naturally the only person that Han does
trust. Yeah.
have that level of trust, really, probably until he meets Luke and Leia.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
all right, so here we get a big shot. And this one, dude, again, it almost looks like the Falcon's in the back, but who knows? But the fact that we have two Wookiees there, and one's clearly Chewie, but he doesn't have his bandoliers on, so I have to think this is maybe, again, part of the breakout, or Han saving him, and hell, he's hugging another Wookiee. I mean, what do you think's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of speculation that this is his wife, Mala. I mean, her full name is Mala Tobuk. But I mean, clearly, if this is the breakout with, and you're right, it kind of does look like the Falcon's there. I mean, we can't be for sure, we don't know, but it kind of does look like it. But if this is the breakout from the Imperial facility, then we can almost say that like this is almost a specific detention facility for Wookiees. Since we see the two of them here, like you said, no bandolier, but like it'd be weird to me if like. She doesn't look like she's restrained. Like, it doesn't look like she's still being held there or anything like that. So it'd be weird that, like, Chewie's just leaving without her or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like from a pure trying to figure out a timeline standpoint, this simple-looking scene becomes very complex.
Yeah, like...
and confusing. Like, I mean, is this pre-Falcon? Is it post-Falcon? Is it pre-heist, post-heist? I mean, what the hell's going on here? Why is she not locked up then? Or why are they being split? Why didn't he save them both? Or maybe she's what's allowing at least Chewie to get away with Han.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously it'll all become clear when we see the movie. So... just kind of moving on, dude. I'm skipping ahead to 11:52ish in the video, and it's only because this is an exchange, and Han is flying the Falcon, so that's also curious. Is this when he now possesses it? And what happened to Lando? When the hell is this taking place?
And he's,
but we learn here that Han did not know, at least at this point in the trailer, in the movie, in Star Wars universe timeline, he did not know that Chewie was a highly skilled and trained mechanic and pilot.
Yeah, he's like, when did you learn how to fly? And this is when that...
Right, because essentially Chewie's barking advice at him, and Han's like, yo, dude, what the fuck are you talking? You don't know how to fly? And that's where Chewie reveals to Han, like, yo, bitch, I'm 190 years old. I've been doing this for a long time. And Han's even surprised at that. So, again, when is this taking place? Yeah. Is it? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's worth really trying to speculate anymore.
Yeah, 190. I mean, like you said, this is the scene that we assume is the Kessel Run, because we see the Star Destroyer coming through the wormhole or the black hole or whatever the fuck it is in space, and then we're assuming here. I think that in this spot, even though we don't see Lando on the bridge, he's probably somewhere, or in the control room. He's probably somewhere else on the ship, because we know that when this is happening and he is flying past those tentacles and stuff, Lando's still there. So
right.
And then we also get a very untypical line from Han a little bit later, where he's like, "I have a good feeling about this."
Yeah, that's definitely a little off. It's not playing to tradition for Star Wars world. So after those shots, we get a shot of the Falcon again going over, which I believe is Enfys Nest, probably compound here, which goes all the way back to the beginning of the trailer. So as we said, timeline-wise, when is this scene taking place on this beach? Who the hell knows at this point? I don't even want to try to figure it out.
If you pause it at the right moment, it does look like the Falcon's a little bit more beat up. It's got some carbon scoring on it, and it looks like it's been hit by some blaster bolts and stuff. So maybe it's later.
Exactly. Right, and then right after that, we get an interesting scene here, and it's Dryden Voss lighting up these brass knuckles that are literally like miniature Praetorian guard blades. Yeah. And then it looks like he's just kind of going Kylo Ren on his own office.
Yeah, he just cuts a fucking vase in half, and...
Yeah, they obviously don't show a ton of it, but he lights these things up and then just starts beating up stuff right in his immediate vicinity.
Yeah, so maybe, like, this is where the double cross comes in. Do you think, like, Han and Beckett takes the job, possibly. But then, like, Beckett's sole focus the whole time is like, hey, we're going to take this job, but we're going to pull the double cross. and we're gonna get it, and we're gonna get the fuck out for ourselves. So.
Right, and then here we go. Finally, we're back to what I'm calling the Battle of Mimban here, and you get a good shot of one of those troopers, Pimp. I mean, look at that helmet. It's just Pimp helmet. I'm at the 1325 mark in the analysis video. So, and like I said, this is my guess. I think this has something to do with Han and Chewie breaking out, or how Chewie gets free. Because right after that awesome shot of the trooper, we see Chewie confront another type of trooper, and essentially one arm pile drives his ass into the ground.
Just completely wrecks this dude.
I mean, he's clearly rampaging, so I do believe this is all some sort of battle or event that takes place that allows these two to escape. And then as we go on, like I said earlier, this is a shot of Qi'ra, and this, I believe, is taking place in that same scene that we just talked about where Lando was like, yo, dude, who shot my shit?
Pulls out his pistol.
So it's like they're getting ambushed, or as they have done their heist and they're leaving, you know, someone is in pursuit and hunting them down and blasting
I think you're probably right. I don't know about it being... You know, it's hard to say if it's going to be an initial ambush or if this is like they're getting out and then they're obviously being chased, but there's a fight that's going to happen around the Falcon as they're, you know, either finishing or starting this final job, this big job.
Yeah, and I mean, Leet's there, Kira's there, Lando's there, which means
Han and Chewie,
probably the other guys are there too.
Beckett might already be dead for all we know. Who the fuck knows? Yeah,
exactly. So as things wind down, I'm now at 14:27 in the analysis video. We see a little hairy moment, and one that obviously lacks real true tension because clearly we know both these characters
survive,
live well beyond this, but it is kind of cool. And really, I guess the point I was making here, and I hope this is not true, because what's happening is this is on Vandor, they're on the train, it looks like Chewie slips and Han's holding on to him. And it looks like Chewie's going to run into this rock crag hanging out and yada, yada, yada. We know it's not going to happen. But what I said, Nick, and I know you're going to agree with me, but I'm hoping this is not the act that makes Chewie commit a life debt.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like they're almost setting this up for it. Like somehow they're going to skirt around all the other stuff. But I've also said like the Battle of Mimban, all that, I do believe that's tied to their escape, so hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think this is going to be the life debt moment. It would be the cheapest possible way to do that moment, like you said, especially if Han is the one to not even orchestrate the escape, but like assist in his escape from this Imperial enslavement camp. Then I think that would be the part where it's like, okay, life debt, you know, you literally saved me from enslavement and everything like that. So, but if this is the moment where they're like, he pulled me out of the way of a fucking rock while we were on this train, like that would feel really, really cheap. I hope you're right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you couldn't do it a worse way if this is the fuck, because that was what we were talking about before. We're like, man, I hope it's not something like Han jumps in front of a bullet for him or takes a blaster bolt to the shoulder, and then Chewie's like, oh my god, I'm in your debt for forever. I mean, this would be just as bad. Like,
no, I agree 100%. So hopefully that's not the case. So I mean, that's really it for as far as this trailer, and really the key moments there that I felt shared or shined a spotlight on more of the plot. And as we said, the kind of the theme throughout this episode of Star Wars Time is like, hey, we can only tell you what we're seeing, and this is what we think's going on, but we have no clue at what point in the movie or in Han's life this is taking place. Because they did a great job at really scrambling up the timeline, I believe, in this trailer. They did.
I mean, they did a fantastic job of really obscuring any kind of sequence as to, you know, to when these events happen. All we know is, like, these are the ones that happen on Mimban, these are the ones that happen on Corellia possibly, and then here's the ones that happen on Vandor. And then plus the final planet that we go to that is, where the last job's taking place. I think was there some sort of speculation early on that it might have been Lothal, maybe not, or that was before.
I saw somewhere where they listed known planets, and there's one like Iridium or something like that is how you say it.
So I mean that might be our final heist planet, but yeah, I think again, like we've been saying, the action sequences look cool. And everything in this film looks really awesome.
Everything about it looked cool. The only thing that we didn't go into a lot because we're just trying to get through the analysis, but the only thing that I'm still kind of hesitant about is this Alden guy. And I just, as Nick brought out, I mean, sometimes, and I know this sounds weird, but I think Star Wars fans will get it. Sometimes he almost looks a little too happy, or like he's trying too hard to make himself look like Harrison Ford's Han Solo. I don't know. Or maybe that's just young Han. So we're going to have to, obviously, and this is what sane people do, we're going to withhold final judgment until the movie
releases.
But I don't know. I'm going into this one kind of with an open mind and probably lower expectations than I've had for most Star Wars movies.
Yeah. I think that's the safe approach just in general for these spin-offs.
It could be a great thing. I mean, I'm usually a glass half empty dude anyways. So.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Might as well roll with it for this one.
Especially now that we're getting into a territory it's even different than Rogue One. We're dealing with a character that is near and dear to every Star Wars fan's heart, so it's hard to go in.
It's dangerous no matter how you slice it. I mean, this movie is dangerous.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to go in
for the backlash factor. That's what
huge backlash factor here. If people thought that fucking The Last Jedi got some backlash because of the decisions that were made in that film, like if you fuck up Han Solo, this could be like a nuke.
I mean, it could pull a prequel job on the character of Han Solo as it did for the character of Darth Vader.
I mean, it's definitely possible.
That's what you're looking at. I mean, that is the potential you're looking
at.
So
I mean, fucking fingers crossed. Hopefully, that's not what happens with this.
I mean, we're not going in hating.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going in expecting it to be of a Skywalker film quality or potentially even Rogue One's ultimate final quality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is definitely the film.
But it could surprise us because, as we said over and over, there's some great-looking visual shots, and I think there's going to be some good lines. There's going to be some good scenes, and there is potential for a good narrative. It just really, to me, it comes down to how is Han executed. Yeah. Does it feel too forced, or does the kid eventually just kind of feel natural as I'm sitting there watching
I mean, and that being said, I mean, they really stacked the cast around this kid. Like we talked about before, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Woody Harrelson. I mean, even with Dryden Voss now being played by Paul Bettany, I mean, you have some heavy hitters, some real stars in Hollywood that are surrounding this kid. So hopefully, if he does fall a little bit flat, maybe a little bit short on the expectations of Han, maybe the cast of characters around him can really elevate the scene and elevate the movie as a whole, and it doesn't feel like just this general flat flop because the one person who's playing Han Solo doesn't really live up to the bill. So
yeah, we'll see. All right, people. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed our breakdown of the trailer and our speculations. Like we said, they're probably 90% wrong, maybe 10% right. You never know. I mean, sometimes what is that? A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Sometimes us two Star Wars fanboys find something that actually comes true in a Star Wars movie, but I don't think we've yet to find that, so
yeah.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for this latest speculation on Solo Star Wars Story, hitting theaters May 25th. Thanks for listening. As always, you know what to do, and that is to keep that force with you. All right, my friends, we're out.